Lamer Gamers. This is Simply Travis and
Rowdy 5000
for the Lamer Gamers podcast. Welcome to the SIDEQUEST episode where we talk about The Witcher 3.
Winds howling.
Now, this is also known as Doctor Strange Rowdy, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love The Witcher 3. So, in this episode, we're going to talk about how The Witcher 3 surprised us with its epic lore, excellent gameplay, and surprisingly good controls. Then, we'll take some time to compare everybody's favorite open-world fantasy RPG, Skyrim. Now, let's get started by covering a silver blade in necrophage oil in the middle of the night while fighting with Geralt of Rivia's scantily clad witch girlfriend in the middle of a swamp surrounded by even scarier witch crone ladies that have bees coming out of their face. Bees! That causes Simply Travis to run screaming like a wimpy little peasant towards the latest SIDEQUEST episode of the Lamer Gamers podcast. Now, before we get started, don't forget to check out www.lamergamers.com/subscribe to find us on your favorite podcast player and, well, subscribe to it. All right. So here's the thing. This game has been out for how long?
5 years.
This is a 5-year-old game.
Yeah.
Wow. So why the heck are we just now playing it? Now, I got my answer, but what about you, Mr. 5000?
All right, man. I have always been drawn to The Witcher, I guess you could say. Like, I like the lore.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it always seemed so cool, but at the time, I was just like, this just seems like it might be like Skyrim. I mean, I put a lot of time into Skyrim. And
Third-person Skyrim.
Yes.
But more angsty.
But at the time, I want to say there were a lot of games that came out that I was playing. I remember when it came out. I was just like, I don't have time for it. Can't do it. Lore always seemed good. Well, then when I heard they were doing it was rumored that they were going to make a Netflix series. I was like, I'll go ahead and watch and read some of the books. So I got through the first book, and then they started showing previews for the Witcher. I was like, oh man, this is going to be awesome. So I found out that the Netflix series was going to be based off the first 2 books. So went ahead and read the second book. And that's saying something because I don't read.
Now, had you started playing the game before the book reading?
I had started The Witcher 1.
Okay, Witcher
and
Uno.
I didn't really like it. The controls were awful. And I just chalked it up to it being an old game.
Yeah, and it did kind of have that almost like original Tomb Raider feel to it, like a third-person game that just didn't control really well.
It did. The walking did not seem natural.
No,
The way
walking's
that
an
you
important part of video games. If
and
you
the way
haven't
that
noticed,
you strafed over things, like it just wasn't. It's like he was sliding at points.
Yeah,
He was moving faster than he was actually walking.
I've blocked out most of The Witcher 1 from my brain.
So I actually started The Witcher 2, and it was a little better. Just
Still sucked.
it just wasn't a fan. It wasn't that good.
I died a lot. I remember getting stabbed a lot because I couldn't figure out the controls. And I was playing on PC, and that probably didn't help because the controls are already kind of iffy on like a controller. But playing with WASD, the WASD, and a clicky thing, no bueno.
I'm pretty sure on the controller, like there were different buttons for the silver sword and the steel sword.
Oh, so I totally have, which I guess we'll get into more in a little bit. I have mine on like auto use whatever the heck sword I need controls.
Yes.
Because I would constantly pick the wrong sword.
I tried doing it without it, but we'll get into that a little later.
Yeah.
But basically, I could not get into the first 2 Witcher games. And I actually didn't start them till after Witcher 3 had already came out. Because I was like, I'll think about getting Witcher 3 if I like the first 2 games. Because I knew that, it was part of the actual lore. Like, they were considered canon as far as the books and everything go. Like, if you read the books, you would understand stuff that happens in the games. which we'll get into that as well a little later. Some stuff that I
Lots of
haven't
stuff
read in
that's going to
books.
happen later.
Yeah.
This is, by the way, a side quest, so expect things to be not quite as
Organized?
cohesive.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's
So
like the glue is still wet. It hasn't set.
yeah, we're just kind of placing pieces randomly until we decide we like our collage of witcheriness.
Of construction paper.
Yes, construction paper collage. And speaking of, I have a lot of construction paper in my classroom. And kindergarten teachers give me construction paper at the end of the year, and it's called the Avalanche Drawer. Because if you accidentally pull the wrong thing, it goes Jenga all over the classroom. Anyway, so a big part of this is I labeled this kind of based off a Doctor Strangelove title. How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love The Witcher 3. I have been scared of The Witcher 3 because of how bad The Witcher 1 and 2 controlled.
Yep.
And this has been something we've cataloged in our journeys of Lamer Gamers, that I will not play a game that has bad controls. Like, I still don't like Resident Evil games because I'm still kind of have Resident Evil 1 PTSD.
You need to play the new ones. They control way different.
I do. Really? So, that's the big reason why I haven't played. And Rowdy's been like, man, you got to play The Witcher. The Witcher's good. Dude. I love me some Witcher. And it kind of wore me down, and then Game Pass happened.
Yeah, so I actually... I got worn down seeing it. Like, I read the books, and I knew that the Netflix series was going to come out. So I was like, you know what? I might as well just play The Witcher 3. It was on sale. I got it on, like, GOG, I think, for, like, $10 for, like, the Game of the Year edition. But as chronicled in the mini episodes of the Lamer Gamers, I'm not too savvy when it comes to PC gaming, and just other stuff was happening. So I got about, 2 hours into The Witcher 3 and put it down. I was like, well, I guess I'm just going to read the books, and I'm just going to like the Netflix series, and that's going to be it. Well, the Netflix series wasn't out. I didn't know if I would like it or not.
Well, man, those first 2 hours, though, like, it's okay.
There's so much.
There's a lot to understand with the game, and it's very it's constricting. And they don't explain to you the character progression very well in this game. I was so confused by the spell system at first.
Yeah.
And then, like, how do I upgrade my character? And there's slots, and there's, like, upgrades, and...
I can remember you texting about the ridiculous spells at the beginning. Yeah. How does this even work?
I'm putting something on the ground. I still don't understand the trap spell. Honestly.
Okay.
I cannot get that stupid thing to work.
The trap spell is for anything that has a non-corporeal form.
I got that. And there's these stupid, like, wraiths, right?
Uh-huh.
And I put down the spell, and they don't get trapped up in it. They won't come to my trap house.
No. They don't get trapped in it. They do more damage when they're inside the trap house.
Oh, when they're in the trap house.
Yes, when they're in the trap house.
You hurt them more.
Yes, they don't get trapped in it.
I just gave up, and I started throwing moon dust bombs.
Which is also a good plan.
Yeah. And then I stab them in the face over and over.
Yeah.
And it works.
As you should.
Okay, so I need to set up my trap house. Moon dust bomb, stabby.
Moon dust is definitely something you could buy in a trap house.
It probably is. All right. So,
so
I don't think anybody uses that term anymore.
So bringing it all back.
Yes.
What is it? Witcher 3 was on Game Pass.
Yes.
And I started playing it. We both started playing it pretty much at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And I
have probably put in 3 times the hours that I have.
I got really mad.
Oh, did
at first.
Why are you so mad?
This is also part of the learn
Did
to
Google
stop worrying.
Stadia show up?
No.
Sorry. That's what I get mad about.
I got really mad because I looked at how much the DLC cost. It was like $30 at the time.
Man, the thing is, though, you can go to GameStop and get this used, the full editions usually for cheap. Or what I found recently, bestbuy.com. Go and look for full editions of games, and they're usually not in stock at the store, but you can get them shipped to you for dirt cheap.
Well, I bought a digital copy on PlayStation for like $10 for the Game of the Year edition.
Oh, well, yeah. I'm still waiting for that. Like, I haven't seen that yet, but that's going to happen. I'm going to end up buying this game.
So that was the second time I restarted the game
I want them DLCs.
because, I really wanted the DLCs. And so I started replaying it again. And like Travis was saying, there is so much in the first few hours of this game. There's so much in the whole game. Like,
Oh yeah.
you learn all kinds of new stuff throughout the game. Like the bombs, I actually rarely use them. But you know how you can make new potions and stuff like that? Well, you could upgrade your bombs.
I am starting to upgrade stuff right now. And I probably played this stupid game for about 30 hours before I really even played with alchemy. And I was like, I'm running out of things. I'm running out of potions. And Rowdy tells me, you replenish everything just by meditating.
Yep. As long as you have spirits, drinking spirits.
Oh, I got plenty because I'm going to talk about that in a section. Tell you how I got all them spirits.
As long as you have the spirits and you meditate, it re-ups them. I mean, your bombs, your oils, your potions. Well, you could use your oils over and over again no matter what.
By the way, if you didn't notice in the notes, I added a section towards the end. What are some tips for new players? Now, this is partially for people that want to play this game, but it's also for me.
Read the dang tutorials. I can't tell you how many times I skipped over stuff. Read
There's
the
just
tutorials.
so much. I guess I got to go back. There's so much reading in this game.
I know it sounds ridiculous, but every once in a while, go back to the tutorial section and read the new stuff that happens. Always read about new monsters that
I
you
do.
run into.
I read the bestiary like religiously. I love me some bestiary.
They will tell you the spells and the bombs and stuff to use against them.
Mm-hmm.
Play with auto mode, the auto sword mode.
We need to do this later because we're not at the tips yet.
Oh,
yeah, no, that's coming later.
I thought we were moving it to here. Okay.
No. We're gonna do tips later.
My bad.
So, I really like the lore in this game.
Yes.
That is one thing that I enjoy about it is it takes a lot of things you would expect from like Grimm's fairy tales, which if you know anything about Grimm's fairy tales, like they're actually really dark in the first place.
Oh yeah.
But it does take a lot of things that we've, as I guess, culture has kind of wimpified. I don't know how to say it. It made it much softer.
Yeah.
And they've taken some of these concepts and just thrown it in a bucket of hate and spikes. And everything is scary and dangerous now in this game.
Reading in the books, a lot of this stuff is based off of other stories. I mean, people don't realize, like, Andrzej Sapkowski, the guy who wrote the Witcher books, came up with everything. Mm-hmm. I want to say he started writing these books in the 80s.
Yeah.
So, like, these aren't, like, new books. They've been around for a minute. And he's drawn a lot of similarities between other adult-oriented fairy tales, I guess you could say. Because, I mean, like, there's stuff about, I think there's a whole book about the Lady in the Lake.
Okay, so when you say adult-oriented fairy tales, you're just talking like you're not talking like
the R-rated versions.
Okay, because the first book, I started the first book, and the first thing I do, there's people naked in the book.
Well, yeah,
I mean that's the first page. So just making sure. I didn't know like what I was really getting into with these books. Now that I'm thinking about it, anyway, so there have been some interesting backgrounds to characters, and who are your like favorite like beasts in the show, like out of the bestiary or in the game? Who's one that you enjoy or characters you like seeing?
I guess when it comes to beasts, stuff that I like fighting,
or just like enjoy like in the side quests and stuff. Because like to me, my favorites are the wildlings, or not wildlings, the
godlings.
Godlings. I love the godlings. They have these fun little voices. They're wild and hyper all the time.
Dude, they are creepy as hell.
They're creepy looking. They got like weird green skin at times. But there's two that I've ran into in the game. I'm hoping I run into more. There's the one in the swamp.
Johnny.
and he you run into him in the swamp, and he's lost his voice, and you got to help him get his voice.
That's a cool mission.
That is a really fun mission. It's the first time like you were really that I was really in the swamp in that game.
Oh, hey, by the way, spoilers.
Oh, hey, yeah, there's gonna be some spoilers in there. If you're ready. I'm not gonna tell him what happens with Johnny, but he has a wonderful singing voice. I'm the best singer. And then there's another one, Sarah. I think it's Sarah.
Sounds
some
right.
girl that's in a house, and she's pretending to haunt it. And she's got some lady that can like read people's dreams, and she's stuck in like a continual scary loop. So I really like these characters. They're playful. They're devious just a little bit. Yeah.
I like the Dopplers.
The Dopplers are fun, but the one that I've recently met has the stupidest name.
Doo-Doo Beaverveld.
Good Lord. You have a character named Doo-Doo. You have a character named Doo-Doo.
Dude, it's so fun.
Dude.
Dude.
Yeah.
Dude. Doo-Doo is my favorite. Dude.
Of course he is, Roddy.
No,
I've only ran into like one or two Dopplers. So what is a Doppler?
Doppler is basically a shapeshifter.
Yeah. Metamorphosis.
So, but the crazy thing about these Dopplers, or these shapeshifters,
Shift shapers.
they can take on your form and memories by touching you.
That is pretty cool.
So that's how they're able to, I guess, interweave into society. In, I think, the second book, you'll meet Doo-Doo Beaverveld for the first time. And
Can't even listen to that name without laughing.
his story is awesome. The way everything gets set up.
The Adventures of Doo-Doo Beaverveld and Dandelion. These are actual names of characters in the game, and they happen at the same time.
Dude.
That's what got me, because everybody's like had these really serious names beforehand. Geralt of Rivia, the Wicked Witch Crones, Doo-Doo.
The Butcher of Blaviken.
Yeah. It's just out of nowhere. There's Doo-Doo and a guy like the brightest color Dandelion.
Well, okay. A funny thing about Dandelion. Have you noticed how many people in the game are like, so, how's Dandelion?
Oh, yeah.
And these people most of the time are women.
Oh, he gets around. There's going to be some sort of analogy to like a dandelion that poofs the poof. Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah. Anyway.
In the Netflix series, he's not called Dandelion.
Oh God! Please tell me, what is he called?
No, they just use his Polish name, Jaskier.
Okay, that's better. But I thought you were going to tell me it's like Dandelion.
No. Okay, so I got the audiobook for the third book.
Dandelion.
They don't call him Dandelion. They call him Dandelion. It's super annoying because everything else is like pronounced right, and they know how to pronounce the elder speech that's in the book, like how they speak, but they can't pronounce dandelion. Come on.
So I was telling Rowdy before the show, I actually started reading the first book. And if you start reading the book, just expect it. I mean, the original author is Polish.
Yes.
So it is translated, and it reads like a translated book a little bit. There's some weird rhythm to it, and they use a lot of... it almost feels like it's translated in chunks, because, you know, English generally works different than most other languages anyway.
Yeah.
So you can tell, like, they didn't have the best translator.
Yeah.
But it's still, it's you can read it. Yeah. It makes sense.
It's just real weird the way it's all set up in the book, and I already read really slow, so now that it's set up like all weird, I'm having to reread a bunch of it. So I get to audiobooks, man. Mm-hmm. Just read it to me.
See, I have this weird problem. Like, I read really fast, but then like I get weird, like I start thinking about something else, and I go like a page through, and like I'm thinking on something, but I'm also reading. And
it's like, I need to go back.
I got to go back and reread it. Really bad about that. Anyway, so now speaking of like, you know, enemies you fight, what were some that were really surprising to you or interesting to fight in the game?
Okay, so what's cool about it? The vampires.
I haven't really come across many of those yet.
There's a bunch of weird types of vampires, and they're not your stereotypical vampires that you normally see.
I fought a big ugly one in the swamps.
Yeah, dude. There's like what do they call them? Ekimores or Kikimoras?
Big ugly bat things.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
those are like, they're called lesser vampires, and they're these weird like creatures and stuff, and most of them can't even like talk. They don't even think. They're just primal. They're just out to eat. And
As vampires do.
and all these vampires could go in the daylight.
Yes.
They talk about how that's a myth. You know, that garlic and crosses and daylight, they aren't.
I'd still try it. I'd give a vampire pizza and see if he is a vampire or not.
You could also run into higher vampires in the game, which are human looking. And actually, witchers can't really sniff them out and like tell that they're vampires, and normally don't take contracts for higher vampires. Crazy.
One that I've found interesting so far is the Wraiths are absolutely cool looking.
Mm-hmm.
They are one of the coolest looking characters in the game, and it doesn't look like all the other characters you can tell are like made with polygons, but there's a lot of transparency effects and a lot of lighting effects that I find really cool about the Wraiths. And there's so many different varieties. You know, there's the Noon Wraith. There's the
I was just fixing to go into that.
Night Wraith, the Day Wraith,
Noon
the
Wraith,
Post-Lunch Wraith,
Dusk
Drink.
Wraiths.
I don't know.
Night Wraiths. There's gonna
Wraith
be
Wraiths.
There's gonna be some Wraiths that have just different
Doo-doo
names.
Wraiths.
Just because there's gonna be some Wraiths that just have different names. They don't even tell you what kind of Wraith it is. It just has a different name because it's it's the Lady in White.
Jenny on the
Block.
Yeah, Jenny on the Block Wraith. There was some Jenny one. Yeah.
Jenny of the Woods.
Jenny of the Woods Wraith.
Yeah.
And she got her own special bestiary spot.
Mm-hmm. You're going to see a lot of that because it'll have a lot of lore behind that. Because like, you know how like that first Wraith you meet in, it's what is it, near that well. You have to go down to the well and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So you'll find a lot of stuff like that where they tell you like the story behind it. So there's a lot of reading in this game.
Oh yeah, man. That's what I really like is the lore is so well done in this. And I'll just sit and read the bestiary just because it's cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude.
And I kind of wish I could just fit it to just one. Like I still find the Crones absolutely disturbingly cool witches. And the one with the larva holes, and the bees coming out of it and all that stuff, that scares the heck out of me.
We all know you love bees.
I hate bees, man. Like that one's creepy. Then there's the huge chunky one that's got like a stump for a face. I don't know, it's covered, but she's beautiful in her own image. They can also all the witches can
they can transform.
Yeah. So they're almost like Dopplers.
Well, I think it's just kind of an illusion.
Yeah, it's an illusion. I mean, you know. And then the werewolves. The werewolves are far more in depth in this game than you think.
Yeah.
And they try to... One thing that's interesting is it's almost like the people in this game are more monstrous than the monsters are. They always try to make you feel sympathy for the monsters in this game.
Well, that's the whole point of The Witcher, though.
Right.
Because the Witcher is... Well, at least Geralt and the code of the Witchers... they're only supposed to kill monsters that encroach on society. Gotcha. So if somebody's like, like in the first book when he finds the Sylvan, have you read that part? Negatory. Okay, so there's a monster called a Sylvan, and these people want him to take it out, but the Sylvan like doesn't kill anybody. Yeah, it hasn't hurt anybody.
He's just cool.
So he tries to find a way to not kill it. And that's the way that the game works. There's
some missions where I've actually like convinced them to get the heck out of Dodge.
Yeah.
And I'm cool with that. I like that concept.
So it's definitely that nothing, it's all gray in this game. Like, there's no black and white. You will find that so much in this game.
I've probably killed more people that have like tried to rough me up in a tavern than monsters.
Oh yeah.
They do not like witchers in this game, man. They be like, "Hey boy, what you doing here, witcher?"
And that's
I'm gonna punch you in the face, and then you stab them a lot.
That's funny because a lot of people need Witchers in this game.
Yes,
Yet they look down on them.
Yeah, it's silly.
And they keep calling them like mutants and stuff like that. But half the time, the only reason you could tell they're a Witcher is their eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Because they have cat eyes because they can see in the dark.
Now, it's okay. So I have this game with HDR.
Okay.
The game's really freaking dark at night.
Mm-hmm.
Too dark. And I've used that stupid spell. Like I got the cat eye spell or whatever the heck it's called. I just carry a torch with me now. Like I rarely use anything in my pockets other than a torch.
Just wait till you use the cat potion in a cave and then run out into daylight.
Oh, I have not done that yet.
Oh my God.
That sounds fun.
It was awful.
So speaking of like caves and things like that, what are some interesting places you visited in The Witcher?
There are so many to list.
Yeah, and that.
I just. Ooh.
So I'll go ahead while you're conjuring up some places.
Yeah.
So one thing that I found really interesting, and I'm just going to go into the, I guess the graphics of the game. When I first played the game, the first areas they put you in is really kind of boring. Mm-hmm. You know, there's not much diversity in the landscape around you. And as I started going through the game and I hit the swamps, I realized like how beautifully rendered this game was. And I started seeing a lot of references. I'm going to get artsy fartsy here for a second.
How dare you?
To Caspar David Friedrich. I think that's the name of the artist. Who does a lot of like German landscape paintings.
Was he a ghost?
No.
Caspar?
No, Caspar the Friendly Ghost. I'll have to pull up some images in here just a bit and show you, just see if you see like the witcheriness of it.
Okay.
But he was an artist that did paintings that the landscapes were supposed to give you a sense of feeling, or they had a lot of symbolism built into it. One big one is called Wanderer of the Sea of Fog. But anyway, so as I started going through the swamps, I realized like he's using a lot of very traditional painting techniques in this game. As far as how the sky looks in places, or how the I guess water vapor, what do you call aerial perspective is, as things blur in the distance. And really, they did a dang good job on swamps. Like we live in the swamps.
I know what a swamp looks like.
I've been in the swamps, man. And it's pretty spot on. Not a lot of video games get swamps really well because, you know, most people think swamps are these ugly things, and they are to some extent. Yeah. They're stinky. There's alligators. You can put your legs in the mud and it makes it itch. You get leeches and worms and
there's cockagators in there.
Yeah, snakes and, you know, all these terrible bugs that can burrow into your skin.
There's noon wraiths.
Yes, there's noon wraiths. So, you know, but they were able to capture like the beauty of like a bog or the swamps. Now these stupid rot fiends come up and try to explode their guts all over you, but you know, it's
there
beautiful.
are rot fiends later in the game that are covered in spikes.
Oh, snap.
When they explode, they shoot spikes.
I found like some crazy spider monster yesterday. And I just got all the lower level baddies that were with it, and I just kept like convincing them to fight it. Almost killed it, and I got bored with it and ran off because it was taking forever. Anyway, so what is a place that you found interesting?
It's just really cool.
Or a biome.
The way it's all set up, but like, I guess the Velen Novigrad area is like the biggest part of the game.
Right.
It's really cool because there are so many different biomes in that. Like, when you first start off, it's kind of real bland and boring, like White Orchard was the original, the first part of the game.
Right.
But then you go a little farther north, boom, swamps. You get, there's the towns. What is that town called? Oh my God, I've played like 170 million hours of this game. I can't remember the name of that town.
I understand. There's a lot of towns in that game.
But it's just cool the way that it moves to the different biomes. Like when you get to the first little city, it's almost surrounded by swamps, and then there's a big lake in there.
Dude, you can ride in a boat, and the boat's cool. It looks awesome.
Cool. But I think probably one of my favorite spots to run around in is the northeast section of Novigrad.
Okay.
So like you get outside of the city of Novigrad in the northeast section. You're gonna get there later in the game because it's kind of a higher level kind of place.
Yeah.
But that's probably my favorite place to run around because there's just a whole bunch of different monsters. Like that's where you really run into a bunch of like spiders, and I ran into a werewolf out there and all kind of stuff like that. Skellige is pretty tough as well. The way it's set up, like having to jump between the islands.
I really like the way Skellige looks because it reminds me of going out to the Rockies out in Colorado. And they did a really good job with the mountains, and that's one thing I'll just do a quick comparison with Skyrim on. They're freaking mountains everywhere in Skyrim.
Oh, yeah.
But they are chunky and ugly. I mean, the game is forever old and it can run on a microwave. But they did an excellent job on making them actually look like mountains in the distance. So, anyway, those are some things I found interesting. Just visually how nice it looks. Oh, by the way, when the winds are howling, everything moves.
Yeah.
It feels alive, and it sounds really cool with the Dolby Atmos. Rowdy's been making fun of me, by the way, because of my surround sound system. He keeps sending me texts with new surround sound systems.
Yeah, I sent you that one yesterday. That was
like
$6,000.
$6,000.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
That's gonna be your next system.
I need that, man. It's a necessity.
It would blow up my apartment probably.
I would have to like go up into the attic and cut things into my ceiling to do that, because that had 11 speakers and it would sound amazing. But no.
Man. All right. So I'm going to try and rope us back in.
Rope.
We're going to get back to these notes here.
All right.
Main quests.
Yes.
So, God, this game took probably 50 hours just for the main quests.
I looked it up the other day on how long it takes to beat. It's 50 hours.
And you'd be surprised how quick that actually goes, because the story is told so well. It's so fun.
The problem is, like, I want to go do all the side quests.
So then that's another thing. They said that there's probably 30 to 40 more hours of side quests.
Oh, good Lord. I'm never going to finish this game.
But the funny thing is there were times when I was doing a bunch of side quests and I would get, 1 to 5 XP for it.
Yeah.
Didn't matter. Still dug them.
Yeah.
It still opened up more stuff in the game. Just more stuff you could do. Oh, my God.
Like joining fight clubs?
There's so much. Yeah, the freaking
You can do
fight clubs, man.
in The Witcher.
And you could do fight clubs in Velen, fight clubs in Novigrad, Skellige. When you do the Blood and Wine expansion, you could do fight clubs in Toussaint.
Oh, Toussaint.
Toussaint.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I don't even know where to go talking about all this, man. Like,
now, the main quests are really well done. You do meet an interesting cast of characters along the way.
like Doodoo Beavervelt?
Yeah, Doodoo Beavervelt. But to me, he was kind of a main quest, but I did a lot of side quest stuff with them. But just going into Skellige, the difference between like Velen, right?
Yeah,
Novigrad.
Velen's in the south, Novigrad's in the north.
Yeah, it's very traditional, like European style in Velen and Novigrad. But then you go to Skellige and it's like Viking warrior.
Oh, yeah.
And they have...
There's a lot of Viking traditions there. I mean, they talk about Freya a lot.
They have druids.
There, yep.
And that's what I was really excited. What I want to see in the future, and I'm going side questy-ing, sorry. I really want a Witcher game that's at least in the Witcher universe, but I want to be able to play as a druid. I want to be able to play as a wizard. I want to be a witch.
So, funny thing about that, mentioned, CD Projekt Red has acquired a new contract with Andrei Sapkowski for future Witcher projects.
Yeah.
They said projects, not games or anything. But the rumor that they were talking about is that the future games, you may not be Geralt.
That's cool.
Because Geralt is getting up there in age. I mean,
right.
Nobody really knows how old he is.
Well, I thought Witchers lived like over 100 years.
Oh, yeah. They live to be old. Old as dirt, man. Because, like, even Yennefer is old.
Right.
Have you seen the Netflix series?
I have not. It's on my list.
Okay, so I
was going to play a little bit further into the game, but I think I'm to the point where I can watch the series now.
So, actually, you could watch the series and
not ruin anything.
Anything in the game. The game will actually make more sense.
Oh, okay. Hey, wife. She's probably sleeping. Nope, she's awake. Hey, we gotta watch the Netflix series Witcher.
Okay. It's really good.
Okay.
Me and my wife watched all 8 episodes in one day. All 8 hours of it.
I could do that.
Awesome. But what's crazy
Have a
is
day
the
off tomorrow.
story kind of... It's weird. It's a weird timeline for the story because it follows the three main characters, Geralt, Yennefer, and Ciri. So
Gotcha.
the stuff that happens in Geralt and Yennefer's timeline is actually decades.
Oh.
And the stuff that happens in Ciri's timeline is like a month.
So during the main quest, you get switched to Ciri a lot in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Do you like those segments or not?
I do not.
Okay, because I'm kind of bothered by them too. I've just recently kind of started understanding how she fights, but to me, it's almost like it's a downer whenever I have to start playing as Ciri.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's not just me. I was just making sure. Sorry,
So,
side quest.
It makes sense a little farther in the game.
Okay.
So, like you know how she has a different move set than Geralt. She moves different.
Right. She's got some special blood.
Yeah, she's got.
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that. Yeah, special blood.
It's something that they've already told me what type it is, but I forgot.
Elven.
I just know. Okay, I've been trying to find Ciri.
She's part of. I forget what they called it, but like
Elves.
one of the original. I don't know.
Okay.
There's lots of magic.
All I know
in it.
is that elves are jerks. I've tried so hard in Novigrad to help the elves, and every time they're just like,
you butt.
I've got to deal with this stuff later anyway. Yeah. Good Lord, I'm just trying to help. Stupid elves.
You will find that a lot in this game, and not just with the
They
elves.
don't even live in the trees. Are they real elves?
But basically, Ciri can like travel like great distances.
Yeah, she blinks all over the place.
She can travel to different worlds. Because I know you've heard it numerous times in the game. Conjunction of the spheres.
But then, like, when you play as her, she's like, oh, I don't know if I can fight. She's like uber powerful. But, you know, every time she's like, oh, barely attacking.
Because that's just the thing. Like, she has
Trying to
crazy,
control
ridiculous
her.
magic powers.
Yeah.
But she doesn't have full control over them yet.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of the game is trying to figure out, you know, where she is, and she's traveling with somebody who's trying to help her understand the powers, and they're jumping all over the place. And you just seem like you're 2 steps behind every time trying to find her. Well, later on in the game, you'll unlock her full potential.
Her full power. It's over 9,000.
Oh, yeah. So when you fight as her later in the game, like you'll have all of her abilities and stuff like that, and she even gets like an amulet that she could use to help with the witches, like all this kind of stuff. So it gets better, the parts with her, but at first they're not fun playing with her. Meh.
Yeah. So, you ready to move on to side quests?
Side quests.
Okay, so what has been your like favorite side quest so far?
Oh god, there's so many.
There are the side quests are good. I still think the Crone side quest has been my favorite.
Crohn's one was awesome.
There was one where you like there's this dude that's trapped in a tree. By the way, I'm really bad about making good choices. They always convince me that they're good, and then they're like, I'm a demon pony.
Yeah,
and then
killed
they
it.
go, murder people.
I killed it.
No, I let him go into a demon pony.
Nope, I killed it.
I think it was the right choice, but I kind of don't.
I killed it, and I still think it's the right choice.
It probably was, because now there's a roaming demon pony somewhere in the distance doing
roaming demon
pony things.
Oh, side quest,
Neighing
side quest,
for evil.
side quest. No, I think the dandelion quest. That's not a side quest.
Yeah, it kind of is. There's some stuff with the dandelion stuff that is side quest.
The part where you're setting up the new bar that he has, where he's trying to turn it from a brothel into an actual bar.
Yeah, that one was kind of fun. I was really surprised with how it out. I don't know if I want to go into that with his lady friend, but
that got crazy.
It turns into like a murder mystery, which, you know, one thing about the Witcher game is there's a lot of investigation built into it.
Oh yeah,
which is kind of fun. I do like that aspect of it. It's really simplified.
It's better investigating than L.A. Noire.
Really?
I hated L.A. Noire.
I haven't played it now. My wife has played it. or I think work with somebody that was playing it. But yeah, I never really got into it.
Yeah, but like all the investigation and stuff in it's really cool. I take it back. My favorite side story was the side story for Dijkstra.
Oh, okay, yeah. Now I want to start his side quest where you get the Gwent cards.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't want to play Gwent right
I
now.
love Gwent.
I like Gwent. It's a good concept. I like the way it plays, but man, I got some Witcher to play. I got to beat this game at some point.
So, if you want to make money,
Play the Gwents.
well, no, I take it back. Because you can only get like 10, 20 coins playing most Gwent games.
I straight up have like a backpack full of 50,000 junk pieces. You get a lot of junk in this game.
Yeah, I kept it all.
And a lot of alchemy things. I don't know where he's putting this.
You don't want to know.
I mean, it says saddlebags on Roach. I guess that's where it's at, but Roach doesn't seem like he's carrying all that.
So I kept everything just because I'm really bad about playing an RPG and being like, ooh, that's worth a lot of money.
Oh.
I'm going to sell it and then need it later on in the game.
I would break more stuff down if it didn't cost so dang much.
Well, you're going to get some money. So like when you do the Dijkstra side quest to get the, what is it, to unlock the Gwent tournament at the brothel,
Yes.
you make a lot of money from that quest. I want to say it's like 5,000 crowns you can make from that one quest.
I'd probably spend it crafting things. I've been doing a lot of those, the treasure hunts for items and stuff.
Side quests. I take it back. My favorite side quest were all of the Witcher gear.
Yes.
Oh my God. How did I not think about that? Okay. So here's the deal.
Here's the deal. You ready for the deal, guys?
So you craft the Witcher stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Then you find better versions of it. So then you have to craft those.
Mm-hmm.
And then you find even better versions of it. And then you craft those.
Then you become a god.
Repeat ad nauseum.
Oh, okay.
So you can't get the highest versions of them unless you play the Blood and Wine DLC.
Lame.
So you have to find the Grandmaster Blacksmith, who is just the best at making any armor, any weapons, anything. I dropped several 100,000 crowns. I mean, I probably dropped 400,000 crowns maybe on this Witcher gear.
Wow.
I got the top version of every single Witcher gear in the game. Now, this took me quite some time because most of the time when I was making the gear, like I tried to craft the pieces from stuff I already had. Mm-hmm. Because if you buy it already made from the blacksmith, it obviously costs more.
Right.
So it gets to the point where you have to get a lot of a metal called dimeridium.
Yep, I've been trying to steal all that again.
Stock up on as much of it as you can, because if you like the Witcher gear, you're going to need a lot of it.
Good to know. By the way, quick question.
Yes.
Is there really like a difference or purpose between light, medium, and heavy gear?
How fast you move, your stamina.
Okay. I didn't know, like, honestly, because I use Axie a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been trying to figure out, what type of gear do I need to use? So, is there a purpose?
The heavy armor, you could take more damage.
Right.
The lighter armor, you have more stamina. So you could run longer.
I really don't care about that. So I should go heavy, tell them to stay still, and chop off their heads. Right?
I went with light armor just because I ran everywhere because I would get fed up with Roach.
You know, I'm doing the same thing. I actually prefer running in this game to stupid Roach.
If it's about 300 paces away, I'll just run.
Yeah. Like, no, I seriously will just do like the fast travel and then start running from the closest fast travel point.
Yeah. That's the easiest way to do it because, there's so many fast travel points. Mm-hmm. Hey.
And there's always cool things to randomly side quest and go, hey, I want to go do this over here.
When you got to Skellige, did you buy all of the fast travel points?
Not all of them.
I bought them all as soon as I got there just because
I didn't have enough money.
I didn't want to sell everywhere.
I just like updated some Griffin gear. so I didn't have enough money.
My favorite one was the feline gear, just because that was the.
Because you really like the movie Cats.
I loved it.
Yeah,
I was
Rowdy's
my
really into
jellicle
the-
armor.
Yes.
Oh my god, I hate it. But no, I did the feline one, mainly because once you get the Grandmaster feline gear, you do hella damage if you hit them from behind.
Interesting. I'm going to have to look up the in-game armors and what's worth doing for the way I want to play.
There's the feline armor. There's the ursine armor, which is bear. There's the griffin armor. There's the
Bird.
wolven armor.
Wolf.
And then with the 2 expansion packs, you unlock the viper armor. Viper armor is really good. And then the manticore armor. And the manticore armor is dumb. It looks dumb. I don't remember the perks of it, but they were dumb.
Lion Scorpion Monster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that one would be the coolest because it's a
'Cause it's
freaking manticore.
Heck yeah, Manticores are awesome.
But the viper and the feline I thought were the best.
Yeah, I got to look that up later.
The feline, you could do like a bunch of sneak damage. Well, you don't really sneak in the game, but you could do more damage from behind. And then the viper armor, or I guess basically the viper swords, you have a very high chance of dealing poison damage.
Nice.
Which is really good in this game.
Yeah, I haven't messed around too much with the runes and everything, like attaching the swords, because every time like I do that, I find a better one. It gets really annoying.
You know, after I spent all that time and money on those Witcher armors, I got, I guess it's not even like any kind of Witcher armor. It's actually heavy armor, which I never really used in the game. But I unlocked armor by doing a Knights tournament in the Blood and Wine expansion in Tucson. And this heavy armor, like, you get so many stats from it. I mean, it even increases like your sign intensity and stuff.
Nice.
And then I got a steel sword from that, which does so much damage. I don't know if it's the best sword in the game. And then you get a crossbow in there that does tons of damage.
I rarely use the crossbow in this game.
You should.
I use Axie and make them drop out of the sky, then I stab them.
Dude, those harpies, when you have to fight a lot of harpies or a lot of sirens.
Man, just
Dude.
Axie them to the ground. That is such an easy kill.
You're like, hey, I got to ask you a question. Get down here.
Yeah, come on down. I'm going to spray you with Axie spray.
I went there.
Drop.
Oh, man.
So,
Gosh.
I guess that's kind of where we're at for SideQuest, huh? Is there anything you want to do before we go on to sound?
You should do the Heart of Stone expansion.
Yes. No, I'm definitely going to find the full version of this game at some point when it's off of Game Pass, or whenever I beat it, I'll go do that so I can play the expansions. Because I do want to play them. I'm really enjoying the game. It's not a game, though, that I can play in like short spurts, I'm finding. Like, it's got to be a minimum hour at a time to play The Witcher.
Oh, yeah.
Because everything's so in-depth. You can't, it's not a game you can just jump in for a little bit and hop out. You get lost.
Oh, yeah. Another thing I wanted to talk about, I guess, quest-wise, was if you haven't read the books, there is a lot of stuff that you could miss because, like, when you first run into, like, Dudu Beervelt, I mean, you already know him and everything. So, like, if you've never read the books, you don't know about him.
Right.
If you didn't play the past Witcher games, like, you won't know about characters like Letho of Gullet or...
I don't know who Letho Gullet is.
Exactly. And then if you haven't played the old games, you have to do, or you can do, what is the simulated save file, where I guess it's after you leave White Orchard and you meet Emperor Amir for the first time. It's they sit you down, they shave you, and they ask you all those questions. That's filling in big story moments from The Witcher 2. So if there's ever a point in this podcast where I talked about something that didn't happen in your game, that's probably why.
Oh, I want to SideQuest real quick and talk about SideQuest again.
Okay.
Sorry, we haven't left this section yet. Getting close though. The butcher, or what, the Baron, the Bloody Baron, I really enjoyed his side quest. Like that was one that I was, this is one where you got to feel a lot of sympathy for him by the end of it if you, I guess, followed the right path
Mm-hmm.
and the way you're talking. Because I can see you like totally not catching what was going on if you did it a certain way or you chose different speaking options, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But that one got wild by the end of it.
I take it back. The botchlings are my favorite monsters.
I hate the botchling so bad. So in that one, you end up with a botchling, which is kind of it's a miscarried baby
Mm-hmm.
that was never given a name.
Yep.
And they just kind of treated it like it was nothing.
Yep.
And it comes back if you do this in the game, and it straight up like murders pregnant women.
Yeah.
And eats them, and it's so messed up. And you have the choice to turn it into a protective spirit, and that thing's still ugly as sin on when you do that.
It still looks like a botchling, but a spirit.
It's just glowy.
Did you read the bestiary on them?
Yes, I can't remember what it was said right now,
Dude,
but
they hide under pregnant women's beds and like drink their blood at night.
So scary, man. Just like it's messed up. That was like whenever I first really got an idea of like how in depth the lore got in the game, because it got dark really quick. And really the story for that one was so interesting. And then you find out like who his wife is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say who it is, but I had met her in a side quest way before that.
She has 2 different character slots in the book.
Yeah. It's bonkers. It's just amazing how they weave multiple side quests together.
I take it back. My new favorite side quest.
Okay, Rowdy's next favorite side quest.
I'm just going to come out and say it all. It's not going to ruin anything for you. It doesn't ruin the main story.
Ruin it.
There is a mission where you have to find out something that is torturing this lady. Okay. So the only way that she could see it is by taking this poisonous hallucinogenic mushroom.
Okay.
So that's how she sees it, and she's able to keep it away. But this mushroom, there's not many of them left. Supposedly they had gone. Do plants go extinct? It went extinct.
Yeah.
And there's not many left. So you get hired to try and find this spirit, try and take it out. You take said psychedelic poisonous mushroom, and lo and behold, you are able to communicate with Roach.
Nice.
It reminds me of a Scooby-Doo episode.
Roachy.
It's so.
Hey, Roach.
There's a part where he's talking to Roach, and he's like, "There's so much I want to talk about."
Do you have any Roach snacks?
So he talks about how weird it is that anytime he whistles, Roach is there. He brings up the fact that he travels between different islands in Skellige, but still whistles, and Roach is there.
Which is great because you can whistle anywhere, and Roach is like, "Bam, I'm here."
He talks about how when he's riding Roach, and he wants to go a certain direction, but Roach goes a different direction.
Truth.
So then Roach, it basically calls out everything bad about riding Roach. And it's like Scooby-Doo, man. It's so funny, man. I want to say that's in the Blood and Wine DLC.
Dang, okay. That makes me want to get that DLC way more.
Dude, it's awesome.
Roachy, Roach, where are you? We got some monsters to kill now.
Oh, man. All right, next section.
All right, speaking of that bad sounding song I just made, sound. Okay, seriously, this game has some of the best weather effects in Atmos that will put my wife to sleep in a heartbeat.
Wind's howling.
It's the best, like, seriously, you just need it on a loop when you're trying to sleep, and it'd be really great.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
So the music
is there.
I actually never really got tired of it.
You know, that is true. It's never, and you do hear it, by the way, you hear the same freaking songs from all the bands in the game.
Hey!
All the towns. Everywhere. Hey! Have you ever noticed that? It's pretty much the same.
Hey!
Boom, 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 boom.
So I never really got tired of it. There are some times in the mix when, like, say the background music is playing, but then I go by musicians in the street and they're playing a different song, and it really clashes, and that annoys me.
Yes.
The weather effects, always awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I was telling you earlier that on the Xbox version and the PS4 version, yes, I played both.
Yes. He's an equal opportunity witcher.
There were times that I was in a cave to where a monster would make a noise, and then it would repeat over and over again and get louder every time for like 30 seconds.
Run into that yet?
I ran into it a lot. It might have just been the spiders, now that I think about it.
So I haven't been around a lot of spiders yet. So maybe that's it.
But I've had that. I take it back. There was a siren and a spider that it happened with.
Yeah, I haven't ran into a whole bunch of either of those.
I guess that's my only real issues with that. Other than that, like the fighting's cool, or the sounds of it.
They're pretty spot on.
There's a lot of gore sounds.
There's a lot of
heads being chopped off, arms being chopped off.
Stuff like that's good.
So, you know those animations for the heads chopping off and the arms chopping off and everything? You know that's DLC, right?
Really?
Yeah. That wasn't originally in the game.
Okay, that makes sense.
That's DLC.
Yeah, because I do... I use the Axie all the time, so there's always an animation. So, I cheat.
So, another funny thing, try and watch whenever... You'll notice it the most whenever he does the finishing move where he kind of chops them in twain.
In twain.
Where it's like from
like
the
just
shoulder.
Blade just peels like a banana.
Where it's like he chops down from the shoulder across the chest and stuff. Watch that animation, and whenever he chops them, no matter what their character model was, it changes to the exact same character model every time they chop them like that. Yeah. It always turns to like this short-haired male character. I played a whole lot of the game. That's how I noticed.
It's just like somebody's taking a can of Spam and chopping it in half too whenever it splits.
I mean, and I can understand why they did it.
Yeah. I mean, that'd be hard to do that animation for every single character because you have to do like a different like skeleton essentially for two.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I've never noticed that. That's an interesting little Easter egg there.
Oh yeah. So every time you go and you chop somebody, the chopped character changes. The clothes and stuff won't change, but like the face will.
Yeah. So one thing that I did like about this game is the voice acting is actually really well done.
Yeah.
Sound wise. And the character models, whenever they're talking, are pretty good. There's a ton of dialogue in the game. Whatever they did to code it, I mean, you can honestly tell a lot of it's on repeat. Like they put their arms up or whatever.
Wind's howling.
Yeah, but it's not nearly as bad as most games. Like Dragon Ball Z Kakarot dialogue, which I'm going to talk about in the SIDEQUEST in the future.
There are a few times I ran into some dialogue issues. I guess to where I would try and hurry the game along.
Yeah, and you press X.
And there would be multiple dialogues going on at the same time. Like,
okay, I have ran into that.
Geralt will be saying two different things at the same time.
Or when you investigate something, and sometimes it'll pop up like him saying something, but then another investigation.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I've ran into that.
But that was bound to happen with the way it's coded and everything. What other sound-wise deals?
What happens whenever you finish a quest, Rowdy? Oh, that is like, or boom, boom, you know. They always have a sound effect. And it's, whenever you do like a quest and it like wraps up a couple of different ones, it's just like on repeat, or you find new items, or you go to a quest board. Oh.
Remind me of the quest boards when we get to tips.
Well, that's coming up next. So if you don't have anything else to say about the sound.
Quest boards.
Quest boards.
There's so much to read on quest boards.
Read
here's the thing.
Quest boards.
I don't read the quest boards.
Oh, I do.
I just go to the quest board and I instantly accept everything. Do you know what each of those things do?
What do they do, Rowdy?
They put a marker on your map.
Fancy.
So you know how you see all the question marks on your map?
Yeah.
That's because you read it on the quest board. Mm-hmm. So anything that's not an actual contract or something like that, they'll pop up. You could go back to those same quest boards numerous times and get more and more markers on your map from that.
Huh.
So always go back to a quest board if you run past it.
Sweet.
But there's so much to read there. I couldn't do it.
So that is a pretty good tip. Just make sure you drop by, get all them quests. You might not do them right now.
No.
But later you're going to go kill that monster or Jenny of the Woods.
Yep.
So, okay, so I'm still relatively fresh to The Witcher. We've kind of talked about some tips already. Like we've talked about you need to meditate.
Yes.
Because I guess we sort of went into it earlier. So whenever you meditate, you replenish all your potions.
But it uses up a spirit.
Yeah, but only one.
Yes.
Now, the tip that I want to give you is you want to be a conniving thief in this game. Most games, I don't steal. The Witcher, it really doesn't matter. You could be standing in front of somebody in their house with 5 little brats spinning around you, and you can loot the entire friggin' thing, and they'll just be like, I'm going to pay attention to something else. They don't care.
The only time you can't steal is around the Emperor's army.
Novigrad. Okay, I didn't realize that. No, if you're right in front of a guard in Novigrad, sometimes you'll press it, because I guess sometimes they look at you and it's like, you're about to do something that you're going to regret.
So, the only time that happened to me is when I was in an army stronghold for Emperor Amir's people. So,
Novigrad, I have issues with it.
I never had problems in Novigrad.
I stopped stealing things because they will be like 10 levels above you whenever it's whoever sees you, and they will straight up murder your face off and take your money.
Watch your weight. You carry,
there
are a lot of things you pick up that you don't realize weigh.
Mm-hmm.
So there are a lot of times that, if something weighs a lot, like animal pelts.
Yeah.
Like if you get a few bear pelts, it weighs a lot.
Yeah, they're heavy.
Break them down or sell them. Mm-hmm. Don't hold on to pelts. Don't hold on to anything metal. Break it down or sell it.
Don't pick up 4,000 fishing rods or broken rakes.
Why are there so many broken rakes in this game?
Rakes get broken all over the place, man.
I never found a working rake in the game.
That is true. There's never a working rake. I wonder if you can go to a master armorer and find this.
I went to a rakeologist in the game.
The rakeologist.
And I was like, Mr. Rakeologist, do you have any rakes? And he's like, I only have broken rakes.
This is all we got here.
I was like, well, you're a rakeologist. Can you fix the rakes? He's like, I'm a rakeologist. I don't fix rakes.
I just look at their bones.
I just sell rakes.
Yeah. Yeah. Make sure you're going and getting some saddlebags, because that's actually how you can carry more stuff.
I thought that you actually had to put it in the saddlebags or had to be near Roach for that to work.
Nope. Just put that on Roach, and he's somewhere in the cosmos. Oh, Roach is a she. I didn't know this. I haven't talked to Roach in person.
Funny thing is, that's a point of contention when you talk with Roach.
Really?
Because Roach has a male voice, but Geralt's like, what?
Why, lady?
Why do you sound like a man?
This sounds amazing the more I hear about this Roach DLC. Okay, so what are some other tips? We talked about how the different armors do different things.
Oh, yeah, different armors, different things.
Make sure you go to set, if you're new to this game, go to the settings if it's not already set, and make it to where your character automatically pulls out the right sword.
Yes, auto swords. Because there is a part in the game that you're going to get to a little after Skellige, when you go back to Kaer Morhen. There are bears around Kaer Morhen that are monsters.
Monster bears.
But they look like bears.
Care Bears.
So I was wondering why he kept pulling out the silver sword to fight these bears. So then I looked in the bestiary.
Gotcha. Another one. Go to hone your weapons at the sharpening stone, and also there's an armor benches that you can go to that'll give you buffs.
Yep.
On your armor and weaponry.
Learn what your spells do. I didn't learn that.
I still haven't learned it all the way, apparently.
Learn Gwent. Play Gwent. Because there is going to get to a part where if you don't play Gwent, you're going to fail a mission. And I was so mad when it happened.
I gotta start playing Gwent.
Oh my God. In the Blood of Wine DLC, there is a new Gwent faction.
Ooh.
You could play as the Skellige faction.
Fancy.
Where you could play with
I'd have fun playing as them.
like longboats and short boats and berserkers. And
Heck yeah.
You could play, what is it? Cratch on Crate and like all that stuff. Like it's a pretty cool add-on. And there's like a whole mission that's all about the new Gwent faction. But learn Gwent. Play Gwent. I did not get into it until probably 20, 30 hours into the game. So I finally started playing. And then I got mad when I come across somebody that I had already played because I wanted to play Gwent again.
All right, here's one for Roach itself. Whenever you're using Roach, don't bother going into the middle of the woods with Roach. Stay with the roads.
Yeah.
Roach is kind of useless off-road.
The swamps are the worst with Roach. Because there will be like the little trees kind of sticking up that she cannot go around.
Yeah.
She'll hit. I'm just really glad it's not like Red Dead Redemption and where you run into something, you fly off the front.
Yeah.
Although that actually might have been easier because I needed to get off Roach a lot so that I could go investigate.
So I haven't really done this in the game. Apparently, this is really sad that I haven't done this. You can parry.
Yeah.
Never parry. I always dodge.
Dude, you have to parry later on in the game.
How do you
It
parry?
is
What
a
do you press?
Must. For me, L2. So you left trigger.
Okay. Never parry.
But you have to do it because it's the same as the block button. But you have to do it as they strike. Like you know how many times like you'll be fighting somebody and then the screen will flash and you'll be stunned. That's because they're parrying you.
Ah, fancy. I gotta start playing with the parry.
You'll get to points in the game when you do like the fist fights.
Yes.
Where parry is a must.
Yeah, because I just straight up beat some people and it was really easy. So.
But dude, there are sometimes when you will go into some of these fights and you could be 5 levels higher than these people and they will still destroy you.
Interesting.
If you don't learn to parry.
Another thing is make sure you're like keeping your health, your vitality all the way up. Don't let it just get down to half because it doesn't restore very quickly.
You could die really quick if you don't watch it. It's
not like Skyrim where you can eat 20 cheese wheels all of a sudden.
Yes. So there is a skill that I got. It's in the yellow section of the skills. I forget what it's called, but there's a skill where whenever you eat, no matter what it is you eat, it regenerates for 20 minutes.
Oh.
Instead of the 30 seconds or however much.
Yeah.
20 minutes. Also, there is a potion or decoction that when you drink it, and if you get hit and something knocks you to less than a third of your health, the Quinn sign automatically starts. Which is a good one because that's a shield.
Yeah. I need to work on getting Quinn up.
Quinn's really good. I didn't start using it till later in the game. I didn't realize how awesome it was. That's also a good skill to have. There's a crossbow skill where you could shoot 2 times before you have to reload. That's a good skill to have.
One I heard was, you think you were telling me about it, Axie. When you're using it in conversation to convince people to do stuff, don't do it in a group.
Yes.
They'll start trying to punch you.
If there's more than one person there, you always get in a fight. There was a mission where I had to fight, or I had to infiltrate the witch hunters. Yeah, you've done that one.
Yeah.
You had to help out Triss. So when you go in there, and so I'm
Team Triss.
I'm in the witch hunters castle, fortress, whatever you want to call it, and I don't know. I thought it was a good reason. I thought it was a good thing to use magic in a place where people hunt magic users.
I'd do it just to be like, screw you guys.
I did it, and then I was like, oh, man. Because then they all attacked, and I had to kill every one of them.
Yeah, I did that. I totally did that. And then there was one section where it's like you're working for a king, and I basically told them to shove it. I'm going to go tell them myself, and they weren't happy about that.
Yeah.
I killed 6 people that day.
Yep.
I guess wrap it up with make sure you save your game.
Always.
Because you never know when you're going to run into a demon monster by a mountain that has a deer skull for a head and will straight up murder you. What is that thing called?
A lesson.
Yeah, I found that thing while I was running around trying to go to some low-level stuff.
Oh, the lessons, when you're fighting those, they can basically teleport real fast. And
yeah, I found that out.
If you hear a bunch of crows and you see a bunch of crows flying around, there's a lesson there.
Crows.
Because that's how they get around. They turn into a bunch of crows and move.
Big bunches of crows are a symbol of death.
Well, if you run into a lesson, expect death.
Crow left of the murder. There we go. All right. Well, it's time to compare it to Skyrim, I think.
Yeah, this is one of the reasons why I didn't really feel like I needed to play this game, because I played Skyrim.
Yeah, everybody plays Skyrim, man.
Yeah, I mean...
And Skyrim has this very Bethesdian feel to it. Bethesdian. I'm a Bethesdian. I put out garbage now. But one thing I found that I really like about The Witcher is the lore is really good compared to Skyrim lore. And that's, I mean, don't get me wrong. I do like some of the like dwarven lore and stuff like that in Skyrim, but it's still very basic, very what you would expect.
Yes.
Whereas The Witcher tends to put some twists on things, or it references mythology that you wouldn't expect, I guess you'd say.
I like the way that the lore. You remember how we were talking about how like they follow certain fairy tales and stuff. Mm-hmm. You're going to get to a mission in Skellige where you run into a bunch of little dwarves.
Oh, can't wait.
And one of them has narcolepsy.
Yes, sleepy.
Exactly.
There's going to be 7 of them.
Well, yes, but their numbers decrease.
It's The Witcher. I'm not surprised.
It's just cool the way that they build off of a bunch of stories,
mm-hmm.
and it's you kind of have a familiarity with it because there's stuff that has to do with the Lady in the Lake, and everybody knows the story of Excalibur mm-hmm. and King Arthur and the Lady of the Lake.
Right.
There's the 7 dwarves that you run into. I mean, everybody knows about vampires and werewolves and stuff like that. So you have a real familiarity with it. Whereas when it comes to the Elder Scrolls series, this is a lore that they've built themselves. So when you run into, what are they called? The evil people.
The bads.
The ones who look like Darth Maul from...
Yeah.
Star Wars. I don't remember what they're called.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Daedra,
yeah.
That's all like unfamiliar to you unless you've played all the games and stuff and you've read into the lore.
But even then, they kind of seem like a
very milquetoast version.
Yeah, they're very light compared to what you'd really see. Where this game gets really dark and gritty and goes on a whole different level because there's so much lore, there's so much dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
And I really enjoy just kind of going to the next part of this, the dialogue and hearing the stories from people in taverns, because it's their version and their variation on it is so different a lot of times than the reality of it, or even what you know as a Witcher and your background concepts of it, or even compared to the witches. You know, they'll bring up something that's completely different. I really like that aspect of the game, that you get different perspectives, where Skyrim is very much, this is it.
Well, there are a lot more choices you have to make in The Witcher, whereas in Skyrim, it's all like, hey, you're going to fight for, was it the Empire? Or you're going to fight for the Rebellion? Wait, that's Star Wars.
It's pretty much the same concept, honestly.
But, yeah, you pick which one you fight for, and then that's pretty much it. Whereas this game, where you get all the different perspectives, that will help with your investigations when you're doing some of the stuff. So, like, whether you're going to, like, So there was a mission that I had to do in Novigrad where I had to chase down a Doppler. And when I found him, you have the choice of literally chopping his head off and bringing it back for the contract money, or telling him to get the hell out of Dodge.
That's the one I did.
Okay, yeah. So you tell him to get out of there, and then you go back and you talk to the person you got the contract from, and they're not going to pay you. Well, I intimidated him.
Oh, he paid me half.
Yeah, and you get half when you intimidate him.
Yeah.
So there's a whole lot more moral choices, I guess, you have to make. But then that also brings us to where Skyrim does have an advantage, is to where you can play it how you want to.
Right.
Whereas in The Witcher, you're Geralt. He has a set story.
That is very true.
Set spells, what he can do. Whereas Skyrim, you can choose to play it as a mage. You could choose to play it as a tank. You could choose to play it as stealthy.
Yeah, I mean, you're along for the ride in this game.
Yes.
You're not making the adventure as you go.
So I think that's why the lore in The Witcher,
it can be more precise. It can be more in depth because it's part of a constructed world already, whereas Skyrim is bits and pieces of like Legos that you kind of put together as you go.
Yeah, that's actually a good analogy.
Yeah, I think that's the way to go to it. Now, one thing that I will say is I'm not a big fan of the magic usage in The Witcher, and I'm a big nerd whenever it comes to wizards. I love me some wizards in games. In fact, most games is what I'm going to play as. And I'm annoyed by the lack of variety. Like there's some variety, but you got to get really high level.
Yep.
And then like it's still, you got to do this stupid thing where you hold down to pick a wheel of things. I want to be able to have like 5 spells at once that I can just quickly go through.
Yeah, that you can do on the fly.
And then they all have their own separate, magic usage, or at least I want a larger, MP section. And it drives me crazy. Now, I like I said, I'm pretty much stuck with using Axie because to me, it's the most interesting one. I can just be a little sneaky jerk and convince one to go fight everybody else.
Use Axie while hunting.
I do that.
Okay.
Yeah, I make rabbits just stay there. I don't tell my wife about this. I don't tell her how I hunt for rabbits and deer.
Poor Thumper.
Shh. Don't tell her. Yeah, Bambi and Thumper don't last long. Anyway, so that is one thing that does drive me a little crazy. I do enjoy the hand-to-hand combat in this game, or the sword play, because it feels right. It did take me a little bit of getting used to be honest. But compared to first-person swords, like Skyrim has, I never like playing as like a melee character in Skyrim, just because it doesn't feel right to me unless you just got like a big old heavy weapon. It just wasn't my thing.
Well, every time I've played Skyrim, like like the first time I played it, I was sneaky and used a bow. And the next time I played it, I was like, man, I'm going to play as a tank and I'm going to have all this heavy armor. And I beat the game with a bow and stealth. And then the next time I played it, I was like, I'm going to play as a magic user. And halfway through, I'm using the bow and stealth.
See, I don't like the bow and stealth. I would always do a different magic user. Like I had a game where I'm playing like The Witcher where I did illusion spell. I'm using the same freaking tactics. Like I would sit outside of forts and just start convincing characters that they want to go kill everybody else, and it works really well. And you just hear the screams in the distance. It actually works a lot better on Skyrim than it does this game, because it doesn't last very long, and you can't do it as far away, and you can't hide in this game.
No.
That is the one thing I do kind of wish there was a little bit of a stealth aspect to it.
Once you get spotted, you're spotted.
Oh, yeah. And everything's coming to murder you. Granted, you can run away a lot easier, and also, you don't tick off the entire town.
Yeah.
When you accidentally bump somebody in the street, then they all start coming to murder your face off.
Red Dead Redemption was really bad about that.
Oh, is it? I haven't started playing that.
So, I guess one of the last things I want to talk about in comparison is replayability. As much as I love The Witcher, I don't think it has much replayability.
I could see that. Like, I would probably go crazy if I started this game over.
Like, I know the story, and like, I guess I could play it different and have like a little different outcome, or I could even say pick different choices when I'm doing the simulated Witcher 2 save, because that'll like omit or add whole characters to the game. Like, I was talking about the character Letho of Gullet. If I chose that I killed him in the questionnaire, he wouldn't be in the game. And he actually played a big part in my game. So I guess Skyrim definitely has way more replayability than The Witcher.
You got to think about the way the game is portrayed and how you go through it. You navigate it. The Witcher is based off of novels.
Yep.
So it plays like you're going through a novel. Whereas Skyrim is more of a choose your own adventure book kind of a video game. And its roots are in video game. Or it's in gaming in general, in Dungeons and Dragons.
Would you say it's Nirn roots?
Nirn roots? Yes. Sure. Speaking of dungeons, gotta say, the dungeons are way better.
I mean, I don't even know if I would
Skyrim.
I don't even know if I would call what's in The Witcher dungeons.
They're not dungeons.
They're like little caves and stuff like that. And like, have you gotten to the point where you have to try and find the witch Philippa Eilhart?
I have no idea what you just said.
Okay. Maybe, is that part of that might be part of the Witcher 2 save. Because there's parts where they mention her in that, so you might not even have her in your game.
I don't know.
That's the closest thing I would consider a dungeon in this game, is when you try to find Philippa Eilhart, who, by the way, has turned into an owl and has a dimeridian band around her claw, so she can't turn back into a human.
As one does.
Yeah. So you're trying to find an owl?
So I think that's kind of it for this one. We've gone pretty far. We spoke a lot of The Witcher.
A lot.
Geralt
I could
of
keep
Rivia.
going, but
yeah. All right, guys. I think we're going to stop this one here. Maybe we'll come back after I've finished the game and we can have like a spoilery Witcher.
You have to play the Blood and Wine.
Oh yeah, it's gonna happen.
So good. And let me just say, tragic.
Everything's tragic.
Oh, that's another thing about this game. It's a freaking tragedy.
That is true. It definitely reads like a classical tragedy, whereas Skyrim is not.
Nope.
No, there's some cool stuff, but it's never. I mean, you also don't have the connection with the character in the same way.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys. Well, I took an arrow to the knee, I guess. I don't know. I'm going to have to end this one. It's probably a bad way to segue it to the end.
Well,
what's a good Witcher segue to ending it? Got my head lopped off? I don't know.
Well, I should probably get home before the weather gets bad because the wind's howling.
All right.
Awful.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening. Make sure to go to check us out at www.lamergamers.com/subscribe if you like what you're hearing. Check us out at Twitter at LamerGamersCast. And, share this with a friend that might like The Witcher and see what they think. Let us know what you think on Twitter or go to YouTube and leave a comment because this is going to be also put over there too.
Yeah.
I think that's all I got to say for today.
Like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah, that stuff. Click the bells. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's it. All right, guys. We are out.
Have a good one.